Welcome to this sample presentation, the story of beets, this amazing root vegetable that opens not only our arteries but our culinary imaginations. Beets can be eaten boiled, roasted, raw, or pickled and have been a fixture in recipes across the world, even since the Greek and Roman times. Today, we've seen a resurgence in beet popularity due to the fact that they're cheaper than most vegetables. Minnesota leads the way in beet production, specifically sugar beets. With their high sucrose production, sugar beets are grown commercially to make sugar, and the process is actually much more environmentally friendly than growing sugarcane. You could also eat the beet leaves. Typically, you'd eat the younger leaves raw in salads and cook the adult ones. Those of you who have eaten beets may have noticed a side effect, beeturia, or pink urine. This is not due to kidney failure. It actually shows that you've effectively absorbed these colorful phytonutrients and then passed it through your bloodstream and through the kidneys. There was a story a few years back about a man who was killed by being hit by a bus after eating a bunch of beets. The medical examiner noted that all of his organs were bright purple. Beets prefer cooler temperatures and are generally grown in the northern United States in the spring or the fall, or in Florida in the winter. It takes about 2 months for them to reach maturity, and beets range in price. So you can pick them up at Publix in a bundle of 3 for $3, while organic beets are $4.39. If your beet requiring recipe is later on in the week, you can keep them fresh for 5 to 7 days in the refrigerator, and you can maximize the freshness by cutting the tops off. But head to the farmer's market to find deals that you cannot beat. This is from my hometown in Pennsylvania, where a bundle of 5 medium-sized beets was just $2, cash only, of course. So what's in a beet? This top table shows data from one large beet, and you can see that it's full of carbohydrates, mostly in sugar form. In fact, simple sugars make up 70% of the calories in raw beets, 80% of the calories when you cook them. But don't think that this makes it unhealthy. Its glycemic load is very low, which means that the insulin response will be minimal. This is likely because of the fiber and phytonutrient content. These are both known to slow the rate of absorption of simple sugars. Of course, when beet sugar is produced, the fiber and phytonutrients are left behind, making beet sugar equally as harmful as any other form of sugar on the shelf. Beets are loaded with folate. You can get your daily recommendation of folate in just 4 beets. They're also high in minerals such as manganese, iron, and copper. And beets have powerful phytonutrients which give them their vibrant colors. Betanin, or beetroot red, is thought to reduce homocysteine, which is a marker of cardiovascular disease risk. But not all beets are red. There are orange and yellow beets, which are high in volgaxanthin. But the biggest take-home message about beets has to do with their nitrate content. When we eat a beet, these nitrates mix with saliva and bacteria in our mouths to form nitrites, which are eventually converted into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide, or NO, is a potent vasodilator, helping to improve blood flow to various tissues. Because of it, beets are beneficial to patients with low tissue circulation and oxygenation. Supplementation can improve symptoms in these types of conditions, and beets may help to protect against dementia due to improved blood flow in the brain. And guys, it looks like it might have a useful effect to improve blood flow in another organ as well. Here's a look at how the dietary nitrates are consumed, absorbed, head to the salivary glands, get converted into nitrites by bacteria in the mouth, head back to the stomach where the acidity reduces the nitrite to nitric oxide, and then the NO diffuses into portal circulation where it's oxidized back to nitrite, where it acts as a precursor to nitric oxide to allow for improved blood flow at a site that needs it the most. And this mechanism is so profound that you can see a noticeable difference in your blood pressure after eating beets. After subjects drank half a liter of beet juice over 30 minutes, they saw a drop in systolic blood pressure, that's the top number, of over 10.4 millimeters of mercury. And the diastolic, the bottom number, dropped by 8 millimeters of mercury, and this peaked at about 2.5 hours after ingestion. But you can see that the systolic effect was sustained a whole day after consumption. And the cool thing is that nitric oxide doesn't just cause our blood vessels to dilate, it also protects against atherosclerosis, the process that leads to heart attacks and strokes, by reducing many of its mechanisms. Atherosclerosis relies on LDL oxidation, smooth muscle proliferation, oxidative stress, monocytes getting to the affected area, and sticky platelets. And NO appears to help protect against all of this. And researchers were awarded a Nobel Prize in 1998 for the discovery of these pathways of protection. And there have been plenty of evidence that dietary nitrates can be used to improve mitochondrial efficiency during exercise, because when you consume dietary nitrates, you may require less oxygen to make the same amount of energy. In 2014, Jones's group showed significant improvements late in an exercise bout in those consuming beets. These cyclists were able to maintain a higher power output and had faster times overall. So how can we eat them? Here are 3 tasty ways. The first is to simply roast them in the oven. Here's a recipe from Tiny Urban Kitchen, which yields these beet cubes that are crispy on the outside and soft on the inside, great for a side dish. You can also make beet chips by thinly slicing a beet. It helps to use a mandolin. But you put some olive oil on and some sea salt, and you put them in the oven for 10 to 15 minutes at 400 degrees, and most of them will come out nice and crispy. You'll want to play around with the time and the temperature. It often takes a few tries to get this one right. But if you're looking to eat roots first thing in the morning, there's not a better recipe than the breakfast root cake by the blog My Beautiful Mess. Here you combine celery root, carrots, red potatoes, onions, and beets, along with cilantro, garlic, and sunflower seeds, and cover it with eggs so it all sticks together. And as Kat from the blog's comment section says, it sounds almost like a healthy breakfast pizza, which are probably the 3 greatest words in the English language. I cannot help but to agree with Kat. Here's my citations. Thank you very much for watching, and remember to eat the beet.